President Biden traveling to Milwaukee, Wisconsin today to tout Bidenomics and the Inflation Reduction Act. Tomorrow marking 1 year since that legislation was passed. Meanwhile, new Bloomberg survey shows a quarter of Americans making at least $175,000 a year consider themselves, quote, very poor or poor. Since President Biden took office, overall CPI inflation is up nearly 16%. Core CPI inflation up more than 14%, and food at home is up almost 20%. Joining me now is Texas Congressman Roger Williams. He's the chairman of the House Small Business Committee and a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman, good morning.
Hi, Cheryl. Good morning to you.
Is Bidenomics working for those in your district?
It's not working for anybody in my district. It's not working for anybody in Texas or across the country. I mean, he's going to go out there and tout, well, we got high interest rates, we got inflation, we got no supply side, we got no inventories. You can't hire people. That's not an economy. And if he plans on winning on that, it's a loser. I can tell you, I'm a Main Street business. I've been in business 52 years, and this is as slow as I've ever seen it. And it's just a real problem in that he's not attacking any of it, and the interest rates are taking these high principal balances and make the people can't afford anything.
Jessica Malugion's on set with me, and the economics, again, of this are it's a head-scratcher that they're running on this, Jessica.
Yeah, Congressman, I was just curious, is there anything Congress can do now to try to push back on the effects of this Anti-Inflation Act? Is there a Congressional Review Act that can be invoked? Is there a policy rider on an appropriations bill? I know it's been passed, but it hasn't been fully implemented, and I'm wondering if there's political will in Congress to try to push back on this.
Well, I think there should be. I mean, inflation is a serious issue, and it's driving the cost of goods sold up to where people can't afford it. And the inflation, we got to quit spending. We got to quit printing money. We quit borrowing printed money. We got to let competition work. We got to let small business in Main Street America sell products. And so the inflation situation is a real crisis. I remember back in 1981 with Ronald Reagan. I mean, it took us 10 years to eventually get out of it. And we're in that position right now. And the difference is between now and 81. In 81, we had inventories to sell, and today we do not.
Well, let's stay with small business, because the SBA Administrator, Isabel Guzman, refusing to testify before the Small Business Committee last month on how much COVID relief was fraudulently handed out. The Inspector General estimates the number at $200 billion. Guzman claims it's really $36 billion. Congressman, you've been trying to get answers on this. I know you have. I know a lot of Americans are furious about the amount of fraud in the COVID relief money that was doled out. What can you tell us is happening now?
Well, you're right. Guzman failed even. She would not come to our hearing to defend herself. I mean, if you're accused of her agency is a $1 billion budget, and now we get reports that $200 billion were mishandled. That's unbelievable. You would think she would want to come with her army of supporters and lawyers and accountants and defend herself, but she chose not to. So we had the Inspector General there who told us about $200 billion has been misappropriated, but possibly, Cheryl, $600 billion could be the number. 1 out of 5 of these loans were fraudulent. We know that money went to foreign nationals. We know money went to people that didn't have Social Security numbers, that totally misinformed the government who they were. And we got to address it. And she comes back and says, no, it's $36 billion, like that's chump change. So we're going to have a real problem. And, this money belongs to taxpayers. And a lot of people that needed PPP money and idle funds didn't get it, but yet the Chinamen got it. So we got to go get that money, get the money back to the people, and we're going to aggressively get after it, because it's just unbelievable. Again, $200 billion and a $1 billion company, and maybe $600 billion. So, and she didn't want to stand up and talk about it. So we're going to have some real issues when we get back after Labor Day.
$600 billion, that is a jaw-dropping number that you just said.
Right, it's unbelievable.
I'm just
there
shocked by
again,
that.
they're happy with $36 billion being lost.
Oh, gosh. Okay, Todd Pyro's on set with me. He's got a question.
Congressman, it's a two-parter. How do you claw back that money? And how do you claw it back, Part B, if you don't necessarily have the political will in D.C., whether it's in, President Biden or his DOJ to actually do the work of getting that money back?
Well, I can tell you there's plenty of want to on our committee to get this money back. And, that's a good question. How do you get it back? I mean, you're talking about, let's say, $200 billion. How do you get that back? I don't know that we'll get all that back. But, we've got a lot of good ideas, Main Street ideas, small business ideas that could get some of this money back in the hands of the people. I'll be honest with you. I'm in the car business. I live off commission my whole life. Most of your listeners do that too. But why can't we empower Americans to help tell us where that money is? Why can't we pay commission for that money to come back in the hands of the people and the federal government to get this money back? I think we can do that. We're going to come up with a plan after Labor Day that basically will say to Americans, you help us find this money, we'll pay you a commission to get it back. You pay somebody 10% commission to get that money back, that's a 90% return on investment. When you've got the administrator willing to write this money off, this is a receivable from the American public to the SBA, and the SBA needs to pay their receivable. It's a payable to them and a receivable to America.
The biggest clawback maybe in recent modern time is what this is going to be, if this can pan out the way that you're saying. And I think that's interesting to have the idea of the commission to get the money back. Before you go, I do want to ask you about the border. Texas officials announcing they've arrested 2 Mexican nationals that are tied to cartels. They were seen crossing the border last week. They had body armor. They had long rifles. They also, we seized 6 magazines of armor-piercing rounds and a machete. Police are now warning South Texas has become a very hot area for armed cartel gang members. How bad is this, Congressman?
Well, it's horrible. I mean, you couple that with the illegals coming across. We're literally being invaded. Nobody wants to use the word invasion, but we've been invaded by the enemy. And the drug cartels, you're exactly right, they're running the show down there. They're finding fentanyl. I saw, I think it was 21 tons of fentanyl that could kill millions of people. You know that have been recovered down there. We need to, I believe we need more Border Patrol. We need more law enforcement. We also need the United States military down on the border to defend our sovereignty and push away this invasion of people that are literally want to come over here and kill us. And they're coming from all over the world. They're not our friends. We need to stop the invasion.
Congressman Roger Williams, it continues to be a hot button issue on that border and immigration. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.